Abusia yemo bibia kwaba na yemfo Mega TV platform we eso. Felix Ofusu Kwaakye government communication minister na government spokesperson waba monten so wabe clashe with NPP Kofi Ankane member of parliament the Asante Achimnof wati ase ono aso wuntumi lawyer sansona imani Ghana Kofi Bentil enso one na clashe ni nyina galamsey issue. In fact galamsey kodiewu a agi Ghana boso yaka ho asema eni NDC aban agipene a omo ayo madwen se omo den hihye egu akwan mu ene ho nkomo ene no mudi and the other matters arising. Abusiafo mempese mekasa ho bibre yamkwai na yenkotie sa nkomo no ebie na yekoba naka ina ebeto aso hanom your number one authentic platform Mega TV yankopon koso a ehira yentie nkomo a ekoso yekoba ebeto aso.
That's a good step in the right direction. However, I would want to join Dr. Clàshed in the call for value-added, products more locally. You see, because we all know it's a famous statement that Switzerland doesn't produce 1 bean of cocoa. They don't cultivate 1 bean of cocoa. Yet they make about the most expensive chocolates in the world. So they get our cocoa and then they turn it into chocolate, and sometimes I think it's over 10 times if you compare the price of raw cocoa beans to the final product. They make several fold. So it tells you that we are basically bleeding, and we've been bleeding in plain sight for decades. Of course, we don't have enough time to go into it, but about 2 weeks ago, I met a man who, some decades ago, they had tried to get cocoa processing to help do value added. Long story short, it was shut down because of no coffee. You see that thing, and I was like, "Wow, is that it?" He said, "Yes, that was it. Just because of no coffee, the project never saw."
No coffee meaning what?
What people would get from the deal.
Right.
What people would get from the deal in order, to eke out a living. So in other words, rent-seeking behavior. It didn't see the light of day. So to the extent that this is something we've talked about for decades, I think that it's about time we looked at it again. Everybody keeps saying, add value to the beans. You say, so process it here before it leaves the shores. They tell you that in India, they have a certain law about this same kind of things. That before the product, is it soybean or so, before it leaves the shore, it must be processed up to some extent to make sure that they get a lot more value, local content. But the way we keep shipping out our raw beans, you remember in our history at a point, Kwame Nkrumah even said if that was going to be right, we will not export cocoa anymore. Right? Yes, at a point, they said no, then there's no need to export. After all the rhetoric, decades on, we are still shipping out the raw beans. I mean, it's not the best. Let's look at what we can do to increase the value added. Do a lot more value adding here. Do a lot more processing locally, so that then you send it out to them, so that we can earn a lot more. Okay, so that's what I have to say for that.
For the state of affairs of CPC, we can't say it enough. Mr. Bentil, quick one on this. Yes.
We don't want to face the truth about cocoa. And we don't want to face the truth about the kind of damage our government and the elites have done to cocoa farmers. And we've done some work at Imani on it, and we've discovered a few things. One, Cocoa Board, which was set up with the idea of helping the cocoa industry, mobilizing them for the benefit of the farmers and the benefit of the state, has become essentially a financial institution. And if you have time, I'll explain it. But Cocoa Board today is a financial institution. It mobilizes funds, distributes funds, buys cocoa, ships the cocoa to get some money to pay off the funds and etc. And in that calculation, they have stiffed the farmers. The farmers are amongst the most taxed. We've done this across governments. We've paid lip service to them. We have not lived up to our commitment to the farmers. Do you know there are about 10 cocoa processing companies in Ghana? People don't realize that. I know for a fact, with the checks that we did, that when they go to try and buy cocoa to process, they are resisted by Cocoa Board.
Resisted us in how?
Oh, so because Cocoa Board has done its forward sales of raw beans, it's a financial institution that has taken money. It needs to pay back in beans, and there are all kinds of arrangements going on. So when you want raw beans to process in Ghana, you are competing with Cocoa Board, which has sold the thing already to somebody, collected the money, put it somewhere, and in our economy, the Cocoa Board money was a big deal. All right? And you have a situation where we have created an arrangement that makes it impossible. Martin was just telling you about the Nokofio thing. I'm telling you, today, call Barry Calibo, call Niche Cocoa, call Olam, there are 10 cocoa processing factories in Ghana. They don't get raw beans. All right? So, look, we can go into the cocoa issue, but we have made the point, I have made the point, that one, Cocoa Board has lost its way and is presently a net negative to the average cocoa farmer. All right? In the cocoa farming space, there are enough people, knowledgeable people, chiefs, educated persons, okay, who can organize them and sell their own cocoa. What net benefit does Cocoa Board provide to the farmer? If you go back to first principles, the cocoa farmer, if he's able to sell, should be able to sell as close as possible to the world market. Today, you have a situation where he's forced to deal with a certain price that is set by Cocoa Board. And Cocoa Board, I mean, it's a government institution. Okay, Cocoa Board is not today, and not for the last 30 years or so, set up for the ultimate or highest benefit of the farmer. I'm trying to get my words. They are set up for the ultimate and highest benefit of the state. Okay, so look, in short, we need to relook Cocoa Board, and we should start from a tabula rasa. Imagine there is no Cocoa Board, and people say, oh, then how can they sell? They were selling before Cocoa Board. All right, if you go to the villages, some of the beautiful houses, well-built houses you will find, were built by cocoa farmers. Cocoa farmers created our middle class. They were the wealthiest. Today, they are the poorest. And we found also that it is not attracting young, educated people enough. And to the extent that we leave cocoa farming mostly to illiterate, older people, we will continue to have problems. And then there's a final big problem with cocoa farming. If we don't solve it, forget it. We'll keep going down. Galamsey is taking over cocoa farming.
And that's the next phase of our conversation.
Yeah, if I may, I understand Kofi's position on the matter. Of course, it also has a ideological basis, given where it's coming from. Imani that believes in private enterprise and free market and all that. You see, the way he renders it, if you do not observe it carefully and assess it carefully, you would think that the state has done something wrong against cocoa farmers. You see, when you speak about the state, it also includes the cocoa farmer. The whole idea was that we are a country that has specific needs. So there was a commodity that was in high demand on the international market. Now, the farmer as an individual was limited in terms of how he was able to market that product and how beneficial that transaction is to the country at large. So the government of the day put in an arrangement to ensure that the state intervenes, such that whereas we take care of the needs of the farmer, the state of Ghana as a whole, in the course of that exchange, you can argue that we should have done far more for the farmer. But you see, the two are not mutually exclusive. It is possible for the state to benefit. You see, it is possible for the state to benefit in the manner that we've done over the years and still take care of the needs of the farmer.
You can benefit without hurting the farmer. They are amongst the most taxed in this country.
So again, that is an entirely different argument. So if you are talking about fiscal policy towards farmers, that's entirely different from. But if I get you correctly, you are criticizing the whole arrangement where the state participates in the marketing of cocoa. I'm sure there's a direct benefit that we all get.
I am saying over the last 30 years at least, the function or the ethos or the direction of state participation has been to take the most out of the farmer.
Because
we have not done well for the farmer.
It has become necessary because of the reliance. If I were to land, because of the reliance of the state on cocoa proceeds to shore up our foreign exchange reserves, it has become necessary for the state to take greater interest in the way that it is done. What I'm saying is that it is possible to have a situation where the interest of the farmer is preserved, whereas the state continues. But if I get Kofi correctly, he is basically asking for the state to pull away and revert to the system where the farmer is completely in charge. That's why I said that that's an ideological
I'm
behavior.
asking
That one I can understand.
for Cocoa to stop being a financial institution and be an advocate.
No, but they cannot.
For cocoa farmers.
I see they cannot.
Wait.
I want to hear from Andia.
Okay, all right.
There are more 4x4s in Cocoa Board. Look,
I agree.
the pay of the senior.
I agree, and I've said that.
Is that aspect of the reform?
I agree.
And the research that you're
Indeed,
talking
if you look
about.
at in fact, when we were in opposition, one of our criticisms, if Mr. Honorable Apiakubi would remember, and he was on the majority side at the time. Our ranking member on Agric at the time, the Honorable Ekupuku, who is now Agric Minister, used to do these presentations during the budget, where he would outline how, on a yearly basis, more was going into administrative expenses and the employment of people at the headquarters, as opposed to
the minister.
Yes, no problem. So I'm saying that can be addressed without necessarily appending the state's ability to benefit from the foreign exchange proceeds that we get from marketing cocoa. That agreement for me is not hurtful to the interests of the state.
Right.
Yes, that's the point I see to make.
Right. Two things I want to put in. One of the distribution of revenues coming from cocoa, and this has happened over a long period of time.
That's true.
The intention of creating this policy was not bad after all, because it was supposed to be a win-win for farmers and for states. But it is also correct, as Kofi says, that they are overtaxed. They are the most taxed, people in society in Ghana today. Is it fair? And the Constitution expects us to be fair to all manner of people in Ghana. So we, as a nation, we have not done well to the cocoa farmer. We must accept that, and then seek to find a way to fulfill the expectations of the cocoa farmer. Yeah. And indeed, as now, I would say that from 3 years ago up to now, there have been a major increase in the price. Nevertheless, bro, your own showing, we are still lagging behind Africa's Côte d'Ivoire. And it is not enough to say that, well, we are second or so. We want to be first. In fact, cocoa farmers in Côte d'Ivoire want to be first. And in doing so, we will also avert the problem of the smuggling. But if we are not addressing or competing with Côte d'Ivoire fairly, then we will just justify the export to Côte d'Ivoire along the borders. So it is important to stop the smuggling by increasing the price of cocoa, at least to the level that it will not be profitable for farmers to attempt to even smuggle. Now I come back to the processing bit. In my position as acting chief executive of Ghana Free Zones Board, we did the Barikalibo thing. And I say it here and now that Barikalibo was courted into the cocoa industry in Ghana. They were in Côte d'Ivoire. I had to go to Côte d'Ivoire to bring them here. And indeed, we needed to give them free land. And on that occasion, there were a lot of people who were attacking me for giving them free land. But the truth in the matter is that at the time, we were trying to access World Bank facility for the development of the enclave. And World Bank didn't believe that we could populate the enclave. And therefore, it was a problem for us to demonstrate our capacity to populate the enclave. So I eventually went to Côte d'Ivoire begging that they should come. And lo and behold, when they came, it was an attraction. Take free land, locate here. And I remember one of the ministers who came questioned the rationale behind the decision. Why did we have to give them free land? But at the end of the day, they helped us to secure the facility for the whole project. And
now they are struggling.
And now they are struggling. And then one of the companies, one Ghanaian, Opoku, is called Opoku, I've forgotten the name of the company. We had to help him develop even his business plan, push it through approval stage for him to locate there. He is also producing from there. Then let me give credit to Alan Chimatin for the Cargill project. Cargill, through Alan Chimatin, when he was in US, we had to contact Cargill and also call them to come to Ghana. There are a few more, as Kofi said, NIT and all that, and plot in Takoradi. I remember I was invited to BNI in 2009 that I had given plot of land to plot in Takoradi. So I had to come and answer. But indeed, the answer was that the plot didn't belong to government. It was Mr. Apoku Transport, late, who had the plot and gave to his daughter, who was domiciled in Côte d'Ivoire then, who had come to Ghana. And, all that I did was to facilitate the grant of the license and also the commission of the project. So I explained, and that was it. Now, Kofi has certainly pointed the problem in the industry. All those companies are struggling now with cocoa beans. All of them are struggling now. And it got to a point where we said, let's reserve light crop season for local manufacturers. That policy too, we are not able to implement. But also, one bad thing in the industry, there's too much politics. There's too much politics. In fact, when we say that the farmers are happy, I'm not sure they are happy. Because the expectations that they had...
You are not sure? We know.
The expectations that they had, because my own good friend, and he's my very, my buddy, Minister Eric Opoku, also on the floor of the house, that we will have to pay 6,000 Ghana cedis and all that. So the expectation of the farmer is that cocoa, they can be rewarded with 6,000 cedis for a bag of cocoa. By your own analysis. So why can't we get it now? So you come and put in a few more hundreds and say that they are satisfied. I'm not sure they are satisfied. But it's all about politics. If we couldn't do it, we needed not to have raised their expectations to that level.
No, again, I think that has been explained by Cocoa itself. That they are giving a higher percentage of the work.
And if you can do it for the reasons that we cite now, come back to apologize to the farmers and say that we didn't know about this, we gave you this promise, and we have not been able to deliver. That has been thoroughly
explained by both the finance minister and the CEO of Cocoa. So it is clear. If we were getting the same amounts we were getting at the time the NPP was in power, we would do what exactly we said. Number two, Honorable Yakudi and Kofi's position on the shortage of cocoa beans has more to do with dwindling production levels as opposed to any deliberate effort by Cocoa to deprive people seeking cocoa beans to process. What had happened is that if at a point, barely 9-10 years ago, you were producing 1 million tons of cocoa, and today you are starting to produce 450,000 tons, naturally there's going to be a shortage. And as I've indicated earlier, but if you let me land, the point is that there's an issue of scarcity. And when there's an issue of scarcity, the interest of the state will be placed above that of the
interest of the state is selling raw beans.
No. But that is a critical function to obtaining badly needed foreign exchange to show up.
So you agree with that?
The impact of not having that is severe, and it's going to impact all of us.
So your priority is that
the priority
processing.
No.
We should.
The answer to that is to improve production levels so that you have enough to go around.
Production levels with Galamsey and not.
But that is exactly what we are doing. But Galamsey they didn't come up only 2 years ago. So we are in power and we are resolving the problem. That's all.
Talk about Galamsey, and that is the next phase of this conversation. Although not just limited to its impact on cocoa, but then again, it's another area to look at. Gentlemen, you see, because Felix Ofusu mentioned the dwindling production levels.
From 1 million to 450,000, more than half.
Indeed, more than half over the
We've
last
lost more than half
3-4 years
production capacity. In the last 3-4 years.
It's a major concern.
It's a major concern. So it is going to create natural scarcity. It is not something that government has to prioritize.
Okay, hold on. When we track production
by you, if you were a manager of the economy and you had hundreds of millions of dollars to look forward to in order to shore up your currency to prevent it from depreciating, would you give it to private producers and let your currency crash? So that your currency crashes.
Hold on. I want to hear one person.
Again, it's the fact that in Ghana, and it's all of us Ghanaians, we don't want to do the sacrifice today for tomorrow. Because you see, in the strategic interest of this country, it is better off to process here and get more value. But I agree with Felix that it would inflict some pain. But you see, the point about it is that, there are situations where you take your son or your child through a painful surgery because you know that is the only way that will be able to save it. And it is a product of our politics. Because you see, our governance is a 4-year cycle. So our tendency is to look at, what would do. And then also, because when that is happening, the opposition too is not allowing governance to happen. They will also be beating that drum. So it forces us to constantly be in the face of politics. But if all of us would decide that, We want to transform this economy from the Gordonsburg economy, from the plant and ship, to a point where we would then be, adding value. So because of that, the amount of forex we are going to be expecting, we are going to defer that when we start exporting the processed product, which will be more. But some pain will come in the interim. But unfortunately, both the NDC and NPP will not allow that to happen, because if they need to decide that there should be a period for governance, we are constantly in an electoral mode. The opposition will not allow the ruling party, and even the ruling party themselves who are governing are also constantly looking at the campaigning. So we are constantly campaigning. So my plea with all of us Ghanaians is that there are some difficult pills we need to take. And those difficult pills will need some sacrifices that have to be made to be able to take decisions that would be more constructive than what it is that we're doing.
Okay.
Quickly,
All right, thank you.
We made a law against exporting round logs in this country. People said the whole timber industry was going to collapse. We insisted, and now we have a totally different timber industry. You can't export round logs. Why can't we do it for cocoa? Because there's too much politics there, and there's too much short-termism.
And then you see that concern about the dwindling production levels of cocoa over the period we saw within the last 3-4 years.
Yes,
we've been tracking.
Alfred, that is the elephant in the room. I mean, to borrow the
prioritize.
No, but if you let me land, the point
because
is
it's going to be the leader to the
is
next
this.
phase of the conversation.
Honorable Apia Kobi has spoken about the history of the influx of these cocoa manufacturers into Ghana. Those manufacturers won't come into Ghana if they are not assured of a certain level of local access to cocoa beans. So when production volumes were okay, they were high, they were getting what they needed to get. Once that dwindles through poor management by a government that was in place for 8 years, it is going to impact everybody. In fact, government itself has been unable to get the amounts of foreign exchange that it should get because of dwindling volumes. It is naturally, in fact, I was in Singapore with the president about a month or two ago. We met Olam, and they raised the very issues that Kofi is raising. But they also went further to highlight the causes of the shortage. Their concern was about what was not being done to shore up production, as opposed to government intervening to get foreign exchange. I also maintain that there's nothing wrong with a state that has the muscle stepping in to market cocoa, because we are more likely to get favorable terms than if individual farmers were doing so. Their capacity to do so is extremely limited. But I take the point that we should enhance the welfare of farmers. It is something that we cannot run away from, and this government is committed to doing so. The current pricing position is essentially one that we are forced to adopt because of the circumstances that we came to meet. If you have a debt overhang of 30 billion Ghana cedis, it is surely going to affect how you are able to give the farmer what is due him. So, but once that is corrected, you will see a return to normalcy where the farmer is treated fairly, while the state also benefits. I am all for local production of cocoa. Indeed, I think Ghanaian cocoa is the best. As a principle, I don't eat cocoa from any other country, no matter how much I'm given, because I believe that Ghanaian cocoa is tasty. Absolutely, it's the best. It's the best in the world. It's the best in the world.
Okay.
It is in our interest to process. But you see, the things that are being spoken about will require significant policy shifts that take a bit of time to do, especially in the circumstance that we've come to meet Cocoa Board. I agree that Cocoa Board requires some reform. I agree that it is top heavy and must be pruned down to the barest minimum to achieve the sort of efficiency that will enable us plow back more resources to the farm. I agree that the cost of running Cocoa Board must reduce, because in the last few years it has gone up too high, way beyond acceptable limits. All that are being addressed, and then also the structural inefficiencies and all that are being addressed. But in the interim, these measures are necessary to keep the industry afloat so that it does not collapse completely. But I'm sure that in the next 2, 3, 4 years, we should see significant improvements in the way that Cocoa Board operates and the way that the farmer benefits.
It's important that you say this because of the reforms that Cocoa Board itself is going through.
Yeah.
So this is a major part of the reforms we're going to see.
Oh, absolutely.
At Cocoa Board.
In fact, it's one of the KPIs that the president has given the new chief executive to reform that sector and ensure that it functions. And I was in the meetings with the president when he met the industry players, and he told them, on certain terms, that he is for more local production of cocoa. In fact, look at CMC, Cocoa Production Company. They make some of the best products in the world in terms of cocoa.
CPC, yes.
CPC, I beg your pardon. But look at their state.
Indeed.
So ban
fact,
export of raw beans.
In fact,
you know that it is not, it's not as simple as that.
It's not simple, but it's work.
But you know that it's not simple. It's not as simple as that. It's a major policy decision that will be taken.
Thank you very much.
Once the proper evaluations are done and we see that it's a beneficial policy.
Okay, so I think that the CEO of Cocoa Board, Dr. Randy Abe, sent a number of things which you have actually talked about right now, including the current debt of CPC as of June 2025.
Yeah, they are their needs, basically.
$134.6 million.
Yes.
134.
And for a company like that is huge. I mean,
that's cocoa processing.
I mean, for instance,
company.
my favorite product of theirs is what they call Pebbles. Very nice product, but you will struggle to get it now. You will struggle to get even 2 packs, 3 packs of Pebbles in any shop because of the way that company has been mismanaged over the last few years.
And that also dovetails into the production levels that has dwindled over the last at least 3 to 4 years. Yes.
And they are even smaller.
Thank you.
They are even very small private cocoa manufacturing
we've
companies
seen that
do fantastic products.
One of the major contributors to the dwindling production levels is Galamsey.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if we track from 2019 over the last 5-year period, we're going to show you. But we have seen, and this has also been attested to by the former Cocoa Board CEO, who indicated at the press conference that, look, Galamsey is taking a lot away from the sector in terms of, for instance, how cocoa farmers themselves have been selling their lands to Galamsey operators. We have videos to that effect we've been playing over the period, and in some cases, the Galamsey operators forcefully taking over cocoa farms. Over the last 5 years, this is what has happened. Over 20,000 hectares of cocoa farms destroyed. 12,000 tons of cocoa lost yearly. So if you talk about the now 450 tons is what we have been producing.
Yeah,
it's difficult to get.
The point is that
you see this 1.46 million hectares of trees cover lost.
You see, the point is that the allure,
all of this.
The allure of gold is very powerful. People are attracted to. Since ancient times, gold has been a major attraction for people.
Pray that we allow him.
Okay. No,
so the picture is clear as to what has contributed to this particular situation, and Galamsey being a major part of it. Now, what is being done now to address this? One of the major threats to cocoa production in this country, aside from these reforms that we are talking about, Galamsey.
Yes, you see, again, as I was saying, the allure of gold is extremely powerful. So it may appeal to the cocoa farmer more than cultivating cocoa. So because of that, the underlying problem, which is Galamsey, has to be tackled. Because whereas you rightly pointed out that there are some of the farms that have been forcibly taken over by Galamsey operators, I think in the main, the farmers voluntarily give up their land because they are made offers that, to quote the phrase in Godfather, they cannot refuse. So that really is the difficulty. Now,
Felix, I'm not sure that is a fact.
Okay,
but I have acknowledged.
Hold on, gentlemen.
No, I have acknowledged. Listen,
thank you.
But if you allow me to land,
hold on a bit. I'll give you the time to speak. I will give you the time to speak. I will give you the time to speak. I will give you the time to speak. Thank you.
So let's
so he asked me about the impact of Galamsey, and I'm saying that you need to assess the problem holistically. Yes, there have been reports of Galamseyers forcefully taking over cocoa farmlands to engage Galamsey. There are also indications that some of the farmers voluntarily give it up because of the offers they are made. They find that it's more lucrative than going through the drudgery of cultivating cocoa over some time. And in fact, that particular problem is pervasive around the country when it comes to Galamsey. There are communities that are attracted to do Galamsey because they think that they are getting money. Indeed, last week or so, I saw some figures being banned. I don't know how true it is. That there are some who make as much as 70,000 Ghana cedis a week or so from Galamsey. Now, if in a rural community there's somebody making 70,000 Ghana cedis a week, you can just imagine how powerful that person will be and the influence that he will wield. It is the reason why these young men are attracted to go and do it, sometimes at the peril of their lives. There are some who are prepared to lay down their lives. They don't care about the risk involved. And often we hear about cave-ins and injuries and deaths. They don't care. It is still alluring. So even as you tackle Galamsey, you must address that push factor.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that if Cocoa Board gets its acts right and cocoa farming becomes lucrative once again for people, if you are adding more value and you are generating employment and finding an alternative way of engaging even those who want to go into mining to do so responsibly, then we will address this problem. So it is a roots and branch approach that we need to adopt. The issue of Galamsey itself and what can be done can be separated from the impact it is having on the cocoa sector. And that is precisely what I'm speaking to, that you cannot address it without tackling the push factor. Because when the cocoa farmer is offered money far and above what he calculates he will get if he cultivates cocoa over a 3, 4, 5 year period, you can imagine that he will quickly see this land for this to happen. So that really is the issue.
Yes. Okay. Well, good.
First and foremost,
so the underlying factor is the push factor. That is the monetary benefit.
I see that as the failure of the state.
Why?
We have laws in Ghana. You cannot say that because this illegality is more profitable, we should allow that to override the legal process. No. If a state cannot bring about lawfulness within the country, I'm saying that it is evidence of failure of the state. Nobody can tell me that because Galamsey brings more money, we should allow it to compete out.
That's what Felix said.
That's what I'm saying.
No.
There's a certain reality that I've highlighted. That's all. I'm not saying that it's acceptable.
The reality is what government must confront and take away.
I agree.
I understand. And nobody can convince me that because, and I'm saying this because Galamsey is an illegality. We need to uproot it. Who will do it? It must be the function of the government to do it. Because myself, yes, you have all the state powers to be able to handle Galamsey. And the assurances given over and over again suggest that you knew and understood how to manage it. We cannot sit down and say now that we can't manage it and therefore that takes away the profits we are getting from the cocoa sector. That is unacceptable. I want to believe that
I don't think that suggestion has been made.
That's what I'm saying.
That it cannot be managed.
In the Galamsey fight, we have done it in our community, in my village. I asked you many times to come and see.
True.
And when I was the member of parliament,
his personal, that's where for me leadership comes in.
When I had a group.
When you were the MP of Asante Achimno.
Yes, I had a group that will prevent it. We will allow you. In fact, I remember one of the conferences, I met with the chief executive of Minerals Commission, who questioned me why I am so adamant. I said, my friend, you give a license to whoever. It will not happen in my constituency. The licenses can come, and they came. We wouldn't allow them. Indeed, I was personally involved. Most of the times, we will go there with the whole community to seize the equipment. Some of them, we ourselves would burn them. And others, I remember one day I had to bring my own money to hire the low loaders to pick the excavators.
Only way out now.
You understand? We have to uproot it. In recent times, I'm told that even in my community, people are mining.
In Asante Achimno?
Yes. Now, in my community, my village, Ganside of Miabra, there are people in the village, in the bush, and they are mining. And you see, they will tell you, where is your interest? You understand?
But you can still lead your
Masa, you don't understand.
Okay.
You don't understand the local politics. You are no more, you have no powers. You see, please go and rest. So the issue of guarantee, you see, all these things you are mentioning, these are life-threatening situations that confront us. So we cannot, under any circumstance, use any economics to justify the illegality. So please, as for Galamsey, we must all, but again, take away the politics. Me, I'm not interested in politics. When we are talking about, life-threatening situations, let us all acknowledge that Galamsey is not an issue to use in politicking, because when you finish, you cannot provide the solutions. So let us all see how can we solve it. And I was trying to demonstrate my own community approach. And I'm sure that you can't do it without the chiefs. You can't do it without the community. No policeman can go and stay in the bush 365 days in a year. No policeman. But the community itself, they know where the things are going on and they know how to stop them. So let's get a more open community-based approach. And in every community, the problem is different. There are some who are in rivers. There are some who are in forest. There are some who are in... And again, it is something that all of us must put our shoulders on and push it. Let's not politicize it. It's not A or B or C party that can do it. All of us must do it.
And because you talk about the leadership, the fight against galamsey trickling down to the communities, the chiefs, in your view, must take the lead.
In most cases, even government appointees, they are the problem. Government appointees. In my own scenario, there were people who were calling me, oh, but these people in this community, they are doing it. Why are you insisting that we can't do it? Why my colleague so-and-so is making so much money? And your own government appointee comes to you and say that his colleague from here is making so much money and you are preventing them from making it up. And most of the time, the government appointees, sometimes even the policemen, and other times also our chiefs, some of them campaigning against me because I won't allow them to do it. When their colleague chiefs,
some chiefs campaigned against you.
I'm telling you, their colleague chiefs in the other jurisdictions are making money, I am to know, say I won't allow. You understand? Some of them they don't understand. Some of them they are interested in money. But let us rise above all those things. And me personally, I feel very sad when I see this kind of hopelessness. And apart from the dwindling volumes, the quality will be affected. We are being kicked out of the market gradually. Come to think of it, in the next 5 years, we may find it difficult to access international markets. And our cocoa will be useless to us because we will be forced to eat them by ourselves, and we will be eating the cyanide and the mercury in the country. That will also be injurious to our health. So please, as for galamsey, no turning back and no excuses. Let's all fight it.
But you say while you were MP, and I'll come to you, both of you, gentlemen.
I invited you to come and adopt my...
In fact, you did. And prior to the elections, we spent some 6 hours in your area. So we can say that indeed, while you were MP at Santiachim North, we did not, based on our own visit to the constituency, see any illegal mining going on. You say while you were MP, you were even having that pressure from your government appointees to come and mine.
Yes, those who are doing it next door, here and there, they are saying, but this man is doing it and he's making money. Why would you say that you of all people you won't agree? I face the same situation with the Fulani fight.
Yes,
but on both situations, I said, no. You can have your money, but we will do what is right.
You think doing the right thing cost you your seat?
Well, I don't mind, but it was the right thing to do, so I've done it.
You see, Chief, I doff my heart out to you. And it's just an epitome of what leadership, personal leadership can do. But, Honorable, I don't know why you struggle to mention their names. You see, it's the same problem. My brother sitting by you, they are the politicians, they are the starting problem. The chiefs are the next ones. Again, I'll give you examples of chiefs. If you go to Jema, there's a frail chief who is sick, but because that man decides, and with his people, and again, you see the community approach that Honorable Apiakubi dad brought his people together, they are fighting it and it is happening. You go to a place like Mampong, the Mamponghene also decided that he was not going to allow it. There's a community around Kwabing, I've forgotten the name of the town, but they have a river there called Isubone. Like the chief in the Western region, who is a woman, they have a queen mother. The queen mother and his people say that there's not going to be any galamsey. You can actually put a calabash in that and drink. Just a few steps to Kwabing is what it is.
So again, galamsey is
happening there. So when you flip it, you see when you do the logic, and so if this is the null set, and then you flip it, it means that the chief is either complicit or he is part of it. And so one of the prescriptions that when we met the president, the coalition pushed, is that we should celebrate the chiefs that are doing this. are preventing it, and start going after the chiefs that are either acquiescing or are looking on. So for me, I pray and I call on the National House of Chiefs that the time to support the effort of His Excellency the President is now. They themselves should be able to. You see the way Honorable Apiakubi knows some of the chiefs that were coming against him and all of that. They know the people. They should start calling the people out. But for the government, what we should start doing is immediately anywhere we go. You see, and most of the places where Galamsey is happening, it's not like me, my community chairman. Alfred, we are celebrating our 100 years for Catholicism on the 18th. His Excellency the President will be there.
Will be there.
So Felix, all roads that don't come here. All roads lead to Chairman. But you see, in the Chairman area, for us, the lands are two lands. Not two lands.
Let me just give one sentence.
Forgive me.
Everybody mining in our rivers is a medra.
Yes.
And they should be treated as such.
Correct.
Okay.
So in where we come from in Chame, for example, our lands are family lands. They are not school lands. But where the Galamsey is taking place, all of them are school lands. So the chiefs control them. If you like Alfred, today all of us here sitting here, there's 6 of us. We should take cutlasses and go to any land in any of those places and say we are going to start planting and see who will come after us. Yes. So when somebody moves an excavator to any of those lands, the chief knows about it. Yes. So we should start confiscating the land. First thing, confiscate the land from the chiefs.
Confiscate the land from the chiefs.
And then
I'll come to you.
And then when we have to do reclamation, we reclaim it. And let that become state land immediately. Exactly.
No, please.
But when you confiscate the land, then you start investigating the chief for complicity. And again, this is why FIC would come in. If you look at the financial flows, you would be able to trace it. You would go back again and ask the police people who comes to bail the Galamseyers when they are arrested. Immediately to tell you who the people are. Immediately it gives you so then you go in with your financial checks and all of that. You will see the interrelation. You see, so that again is another element that has to be done. But let me come to the big thing about the economics of it. If you take an acre of land, of cocoa land, it will give you about $4,000 per annum. If you get now cocoa, the price of gold is now over what, 4,000? So maybe if you are lucky and there's gold there, you might get maybe about 8,000. But tell me, what happens to that land afterwards? It is completely gone. So you see again, so these are the places where the storytelling has to go. Go to the people who have sold their land to the Galamseyers and see the poverty that is happening. The poverty that is happening after that is happening. So nobody's really telling that story to them. So the allure is basically an Esau mentality. We are cutting our tongues and we are eating and we think we have some. They get poorer after they've given their lands. The only people who get to benefit are the criminals. And now Galamsey has become organized crime. It's become organized crime. And it is serious organized crime. And that's why for me, His Excellency the President, my call to him is that for selfish reasons, to preserve his presidency, he needs to win this particular fight. He needs to win it. Because you see, where we are getting to, and even for us in the large scale mining, we're getting to a place that if we're not careful, very soon, it's not only our cocoa that will not be able to sell. Very soon our gold will not be able to sell.
And in recent times, our cabbages and things, we are receiving the warnings.
So very soon they are going to now start saying that our gold is all now tainted. So it is important that at this stage we start dealing, you see, and the issues again are not the people you find in the petrol. Like that 70,000 that Felix was mentioned. It is a kingpin that is sitting there who collects 70,000 from people and allows people to go and to go in. And that people know, they know them. And so we should start fishing these people out. Unfortunately, you know what is happening? There's the British Ghana gold project that they are doing that is looking at the issues around illicit financial inflows. It's a good thing they've joined a Ghanaian doing it, but we need to own that quickly because the whole issues around after the people who look at currently Ghana now we are clean, we are not in the gray. Most of the countries around us are. The next check that they are going to do is coming in January. So we have a great opportunity. Unfortunately, with the revision of the law, the mining law that is taking place, there was an engagement even yesterday between the Minerals Commission and this group, and then even the chamber. I think the opportunity for us to be able to start putting in place the right things, especially tracing the money. Who are the people who imported the 200 excavators into this country? Let's start looking again into their bank account and trace where the monies are coming from. You see, who are the people who own all the... So you saw the NIMOS, the work they're doing. You saw that Land Cruiser that is in there.
Yeah.
Who are the people who own them? There are over 4,000 excavators that have been arrested. Who are the people who bought them, who sold them? If we follow their money, we will get them. So I think and so when we ask again I see it. His Excellency has the political will. The minister currently for lands is doing a lot of the efforts, but there's still some urgency that is required that we ask the president of. And when we talk about the state of emergency, those are some of the things. But currently, one of the biggest things that is also beginning to happen, and I think we should commend the Forestry Commission. You know what the Forestry Commission, the board and its people are doing? If you go to the wildlife, you see that the wildlife people, they stay on the camp where the thing is happening, and their people are armed. So normally the poachers it will be difficult for the poachers to come.
Yes.
And when they come and find poaching happening around you, then you can hold the wildlife people who are there to say, what did you do? But currently, with what NIMOS does, again, good jobs that are being done, we need to make them permanent. So Forestry Commission is beginning to take an example of what they do with the wildlife people, and even with the forestry people. They are planning of building permanent structures that are there, that are protected, and then we need to give them arms. So for me, one of the things I agree with the minister and the Forestry Commission board chairman and then the CEO, is that we need to provide the level of armament. You go into other African countries and even the US, they are called rangers. They have the weaponry they are carrying, the level of training given to them. It's like what the people at Chelsea do. When you come, they will deal with you. But because they are permanent there, if Felix goes to that place, for example, and he sees anything happening, he can tell them that where were you? Where were you when this thing happened? But currently, you know what happens? By the time, and I'm sure NIMOS themselves, they are doing it. By the time you go to the operation, you have to confiscate all the phones of all of these people. Because by the time you get there, if there were 22 excavators there, they have moved them. So you go and do the operation, and then you catch a few people.
That is why.
When they are going to, immediately they are going, they will tell them, oh, Charlie, call, you better about 2 weeks, so you come. So NIMOS, what I'm pleading with Felix to the president is that let's make them permanent in places. So currently you've trained about 400 of them. You need to provide them enough equipment and let them be stationed at the extra red zones. Keep them there. Train more people, keep them there. So once they are there permanently, you can decide that you do rotations every 6 months, But once they are there, immediately anything happens there, you hold them accountable. So that for me is a critical thing that you need to do. Another last thing that I would say before so we'll go to the rest of my quick. His Excellency, the issue of the KPIs for Galamsey, I don't know whether they've been signed, but it should be something that should actually be properly documented. So when I was coming from Takwa to Takrady, and I get to a place like Simpa, and then you can see Galamsey when you are in the car and by the side of the road. You should not be bothering His Excellency the road. Yeah, by the side of the road. You should not be bothering His Excellency the President.
What should you do?
Neither should you be bothering the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. You know who represents the President in there? Who is clothed with all the powers? Is the DC. He is the chairman of the mining committee, the municipal or district mining committee. He's the chairman of the security committee in the place.
DISEC.
The DISEC or the MUSEC in the place. So why would you be worrying yourself? Immediately, if His Excellency has put in there that this should be done, you just call on it and say, you, this is your KPI, you've not done it, you are dismissed. And you don't just dismiss, you then start tracing. You start tracing and finding out if there's any linkages with the financial flows, and you start prosecuting them. They will tell you the reasons why they are not able to do that. Oh, constituency chairman, regional chairman, the people. Yes. But how many of them have you heard screaming out to the president to say, President, help me, oh, help me? None of them, you're not hearing them. So they themselves, they are either complicit or they are incompetent. So again, so we need to start. And so I will pray to His Excellency that if they have not signed those KPIs yet, he should bring them immediately, let them sign it and make it open. And not only them, the police commanders in those communities. The IGP told us that there were going to be some transfers. What has the transfers happened? Who are the new people who are there? What KPIs have been given to them? A big thing to be able to solve this problem for His Excellency is transparency. And you know what? We have an opportunity that we might never have again. A president served a term, gone to sit back 8 years, has seen all the things that are wrong, does not have to serve another term again, does not need anybody again after this term. A president that has gone through all the routes. So if we don't support him at this time, at this very time that we're talking about, and unfortunately, the window for His Excellency is not another 3 years to go. The window for him is maximum another 1 year, 1 year plus. You will see the clamoring that will start happening for his position. Once that happens, it's the same thing that ate up the NDC, the NPP. It's the same thing that they was, so we need to support him, His Excellency, at this particular time, to be able to get this thing. And those of us who cry out the loudest, His Excellency should know. Me, I supported Nanado when he started putting the presidency on the line and all of that. But immediately that changes, we will point it out. So currently, me, if anybody, I would want this president to succeed. Because you see, you know what? All of us are at risk. Do you know that we all know that Ghana water, what they were using 10 buckets to treat water. I think the example was Bonsa. Then a week. Then they moved to 10 buckets a day. Then they moved to 40 buckets a day. And then because it was not being effective and was very expensive, what then they started doing was that they moved to a polymer. You know that polymer, what is used in doing? It is used in treating wastewater. Wastewater. That is what is being used in treating for us.
For us to consume.
To consume. Who has done the test to say when you drink that water for a long period of time, what happens to you? And then who has also done it to ensure that this water, when it is treated with the polymer, it takes out the heavy metals out of that. So our ask as a coalition, one of the asks that we do is that we are asking His Excellency to get the Ghana water, community water and sanitation, and an independent body, the water research, whatever, to publish for us the turbidity on a daily basis. And then also water quality in terms of the heavy metals and all of that, so that we can have assurances that the water we are consuming, is it something that, how do you call it, is below the levels that WHO recommends us to do. We wrote that letter to the Standard Board, to Ghana Water, and to Food and Drugs Board in the past regime. What did they do? As my friends, the Ghans, who say, we didn't get a response. So I plead that this one that we've sent, Felix, please ask His Excellency. I think we should be able to look at that again. And then also food. The food now, we've been told about the soil and the food, the toxicities that are in it. We need to spend, the state itself need to spend some money. So when we do that, then people will then start realizing it. That when the government, when the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources is coming after people, it is for their own good. Currently, a lot of them don't know. There was a video I saw in one of the large-scale mines. They had gone in there to go and, encroached. And you know what they did? They blasted. And when they blasted, there were some of their people in there. Fortunately, these large-scale mines, they are big because of safety reasons. They have cameras there. So the guys, they blasted them, killed them. Wow. And unfortunately, they also think that the more blood up is poured, the more gold they get. So we need to start working on the psyche of our people to say this is geology. It has nothing to do with gold. The fact that you see it here, you don't see it here, it has nothing to do with it. So we need to start winning the war on the minds of our people to let them realize that they themselves are victims. How much of that $4,000 per ounce do they get when they do this?
In fact, there was a community where some illegal miners were buried as a result of the collapse of a pit. When NADMO and the other emergency response agencies went there, the residents prevented them from going in there to go and retrieve anybody, any possible survivors, because of the point that you made about this belief that when people die, it influences. But you see, Kofi, for free.
I have always been saying, say, Galamsey fighting. Yankase NPP for Enkambio. Sorry. Me gamit we. Menkase Galamsey fighting NPP for Enkabi. Omunkambi. But sa energy na ene. Omonya. Sa modina ene. Omonya. Eni sa kukodru na omode kan. Senka eyomu era. From 2017 to 2024. Omu use that kind of the same energy, the same boldness. Eni sa kukodru na. Enka Galamsey ni tuwecha. Yes. Enka tuwecha. But because of say no more a beneficialist, omu eshishe omu eni omu ena ehwibum enti no mu ntiminka eneya abanya sesa omu ti omu so atuade omu atwe omu ho boko ena omu atwa omu ho criticize. You see, this Galamsey issue idea and NPP for it taking serious in their government way back last 8 years and can you medru animal adibia wo shasia ni solve very 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 cheap. Of course me say NPP abenso na Galamsey shasia, but the NPP abenso and omu giving out mining licenses, the more 2,000 plus mining licenses. Ebin see that NPP apenso way from 2017 to 2024. NPP apenso and omu giving out, more licenses to mine in our watch. Also enomu edi LIB buy legislative instrument we buy. Say yenye de yenko your forest, your virgin forest ye jana ho for so many years now. Untuminkum na unko say ensase. Omo aban ena sadi happen. And how do you see it? We MPP ni ene o can say. Bibisa, we MPP ni ene. How do you relate this to your propaganda? So why don't you keep shots? Now wunja yewa John Mahama mani nyini juma, because mu ena moye the so core, the so reason mu na mu teachli. You were the architecture mu ni esi na ene baby yebedua ene 9 months ne hwane water gas in abom no eye mu MPP for mu na mu de yebedru sa tibi ewe mu ene baby yebedua ukọ Galamsey site boys ni nya kokodro no kontokwa eno ye nya eye mu MPP for. We blame you for that. We blame you for that. Senka munya kukodru ejina mu monai so said ye more criticizing this abanya. I don't think say abedru this extent. Like I never thought and will never think of it senka this extent and then kababedru to the extent say ene water bodies. Ene a water company for this or more add a lot of alum to it before they can what filtrate it, before they can what purify it for it to what consume. Into now MPP ni now TV so now we hear propaganda about this thing. You are too funny. You don't know what you are saying. You are hypocrites. You are just a joker because it drew open so you had the opportunity to criticize. You kept quiet because it was benefiting you and your party. And you don't want to mind how do when you see a share and a course or and now I'll be a free so when say unye being intino. My betina TV so reduce what I she could I say suit and I walk criticize. Are you not deaf and dumb? You see, sometimes MPP people behave as an ostrich. And you may be a coso a MPP abemuno. They saw it, they knew what will really happen, they knew what was coming. But these people kept quiet because of say it was benefiting their government, because of say enkofo bi no chishase no mu enye sika firi mu a omunso nye bi die nti they kept quiet and watch. They sat aloof and watch all these calamities and befalling Ghanaians or befalling Ghanaians. And now mudi abayimu no omutena omuto so a omo criticize as if say nothing has happened in their government. Meanwhile yemo and amudi side by NMP NDC for solve. I say kutire kudini maku anasa ponchenya ku kan say I can say aponchenya kudini maku anasa abo bibi na ponchenya ti hu fifiri mo NPP for mo na mo for buy and edi hit na go NDC for so why would you sit I say enuanu mienu amotifi na wakofa bibi any kwan so ofa na wakofa sika e de ahye unu school bag na mo ko school no mo bisa mo se sika na wahi e no mo sha se so mo bo mo search e no mo hu wo ye wo kofa share ne bag na wo san twa ho criticize no. Are you not hypocrite? Are you not a wicked person? Are you not a wicked person? You are the most wicked person ever on earth. It's in NPP for you. Munjai wati nembo amo munka manuntum said mo ankasa aboa papo subempa ekachire mo no. You have no moral right. You have no moral right to criticize Galamsey matter or to say anything about Galamsey issue in NDC government because you started it and you knew very well said mo yenenye it's an NDC for abanomo solve. Why all this noise? Why all this hypocrisy? Why all this kind of did ni sa nema ni say come on to na munye adwuma no. You better keep quiet for them to work. Kofi Bentil, he will never once in his life speak truth on kind of corridor because of the party NPP. Into what Tanasia, what Betanasia idea, obey them, obey defend the NPP by all means, by hook or crook. He will watch defend his what political party. Meanwhile, political party so the omoye enye. So what are you? What are you defending? NPP for ye nyom ho abotre ye nyom mo kurum ha de ye nsene ha. Ye nyom ho e kurum ha ye nsene ha. Abusafo kira wadwo comment section ma hanom ewa number 1 authentic platform mega TV yakopon ko so ha enhyira ho. Mediana mega makra. Bye bye.